Yes, well, hello again. Jim Burns. Well, look what we got back here for the completion of our work on the 628. Uh, this is the 44-ton Lionel 628 Northern Pacific. Remember, we worked on it the last time. Get it running for their Christmas layout. This time around, it's back to get its electronic reverse installed. And And if you recall in the previous video, I mentioned one of the gears. I just jammed it full of grease just to keep it going for them for Christmas. It'll work great. But it needs replaced. One of the idler gears down there is. But we'll get into how to get that off of there and replace that. And now what they've done is gifted me this locomotive for the cost of the electronic unit, reverse unit. And I said yes, so it's now mine. They got a couple new locomotives during the Christmas season as a gift, so they decided to, all the work I put into this to get it running for them, they gifted it back to me just for the cost of the electronic reverse unit. So I'm happy to have it. And so one of the first things we got to do here is get the shell off. And to do that, we'll need our flathead screwdriver here. Get that loosened up. And most of the time, these little screws, they stay with the shell. They're captured, as they call them, so they won't just fall out. But sometimes the hole gets wallered out, and they will fall out. But that's, as you can see, that one's captured. It's not going anywhere. All right. So there's that. I'll set that aside. I'll give that another clean up and later. Okay, so now what we got to do is remove the E unit. But the first thing we got to do is take the motor truck off. Okay, and I'll show you how we get to those gears. All right. Okay, I got you zoomed in here. You see what I'm doing. First thing we got to do is take off our speed nuts. Remember, we had to replace all this. Sometimes these can be difficult when, remember these stakes here, they were all bent completely over to hold the truck in. And somebody didn't know how to fix that, so we just squeeze it, and there we go. Comes right off. Let's set that aside. Get our spring. All right. Get our cup washer. There's that. We'll set that aside. All right. And then we gotta get the other one off. Kind of hidden back there. Okay, now we'll try and get this one off here. There we go. There's that one. over there. Our other spring. And our cup pusher. Very good. So now we'll disconnect all our wiring here to the E unit. Get that out of there. All right. Okay. Let's zoom back out here. All right. And there's our recently freed motor assembly. All right. All right, we got our wheel puller here. It's a modified snap-on from many years ago. This was my dad's. He was a mechanic for 47 years, so I modified this to fit the axle, the end of the axle. All right, a great tool for pulling these off. So we'll just get that hooked over thusly. Make sure our pin's centered up onto the axle. I'm probably in the way. All right. I really try to keep these videos short, but there just never seems to be a good way to do that. Always winds up on a lot longer than I want. Okay. Oh, let me turn it so you can see. All right. So just wind it in there. And there's our wheel. Okay. Now, if you pull this all the way out, I'll show you. There's our magnet traction axle. That's what gives you that. Okay, then here's our gear. Let me grab my pliers here. Oops, I dropped something, I don't know what. All right, let's pull this one off. Decided to take everything up into the bath of mineral spirits, and so I could get a better look at everything. So here we are, all cleaned up, and we've got this is the idler gear here that was on there, and as you can see, this hub is worn down to the surface of the gear here, and I believe the cause of that is this bad boy right here on our wheel. I was blaming the idler, or pinion as Lionel calls these gears, but I was blaming that. But what you'll notice here is we've got a busted tooth right there. The end of my fingernail there, see? And I think what was happening every time that tooth engaged with this pinion idler, it was kicking it outwards, and that was causing it to be a little rough running. But anyway, we're gonna get rid of that one. We're gonna get rid of this one. We've got a new idler right here, and we've got a used but very good wheel from parts donated locomotive. This one's in great shape, so we'll use these two things. I'll show you here, this, because that one gear was kept getting kicked out of place there and twisting. I don't know if you can see. You can see how wallered out that became right there. So she's just slopping around there. And the more you run it, the more worse it gets. So that one, no good. Alright, so we'll put our new one on. This other wheel is fine. The gear in the back is fine. I've inspected it all the way around. And the other pinion is good. All the teeth are there on that one. Nothing chipped, nothing broken. Our drive gear here, it's in great shape. So we can put our new, and then you can, I don't know if you can see, put the wire in the way, but it sits up high off of our frame. You see that? Maybe, maybe not. But anyway, it sits up off the frame like it should now, and that gives it its proper placement on our drive gear there. All right. And then once we put our new wheel on, she should mesh just perfectly. All right. So what we got to do here, get our magnet traction axle back in. Get our block of wood to hold that in place for the moment. There we go. All right. Then we'll get our gear on here, or I mean our geared wheel. Get that in place. That down in there. Make sure the splines are locking in. You can feel them lock in before we press this together. So we'll just do it by hand at first. Make sure we're engaged. Okay, we are. Good. All right, let me grab my C-clamp here and we'll wind that back on. All right, here she is. Ready for action. Get our wires up out of the way. Bring it this way a little bit. I keep it in the camera here. I hope you guys can hear me a little better than before. I bought a nice microphone for the camera here, so I hope it's catching me better than the old way. Let's make sure we're not pinching any wires back there. So we'll wind this around. And we'll keep it straight on our wheel here. Just give it a little snug. Okay. Back it off. Take a look. Make sure everything's meshed up nicely there. Alright. It is. We still in the picture there? Barely, huh? All right. Okay, backing off a little bit. Take a look at it, make sure everything's going together nicely. And it is. All right. Get our wire out of there. Back her off again. Just do a little bit at a time. Almost there. Everything's free to move. Very good. Everything's engaged. Make sure everything's square in the jaw there. Okay. Oops, sorry about that. Back off the clamp and take another look. Just go a little bit at a time. Make sure everything's going together. Oh yeah. Very nice. Everything's turning properly. See, that gear is not kicking out like it was before, that pinion. This one right here. It's not kicking outwards like it was before. We got a nice fit there. Good, 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 good. All right. So I think we can wind her home here. That lasts about a 1/16 of an inch, something like that. Boy, it's hard to work around this camera here when that's all right, we'll get it. All right, I think we're there. Very good. Just moving nice and smooth, nice and free. Very good. Okay, so there's that one, all put back together. And well, since I covered all the oiling and greasing before, you don't need to see me do that again, so we'll get her all back together. There's our little ball bearing way down there in that cover here, that plastic cover. There's our worm wheel down there. Like I said, I cleaned this all again with the mineral spirits, so she's all dry. We need to re-grease, re-oil, put everything back together as before. All right, very good. So I'll be back with you when that's all back together.